Does that mean the rest of us can't yell later?
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you to all who have joined. I know that there's going to be some people who are going to be continuing to join, but I didn't want to wait any longer. It's been a long time since the Florida Rum Society has gotten together for a virtual happy hour, like probably about a month or so. So I'm happy to get everyone together. I know that I saw some new names. So for those that haven't seen me or know who I am, I'm Jay. And John calls me the head of this thing or something like that. But I'm thrilled to welcome Jeff Beachbum Berry to as our special guest tonight, and he brought along without really wanting to, Ed Hamilton, who's here to make sure the story is told correctly of this fantastic new rum that is already almost gone in Florida, but more is going to be here next week. So we're excited to hear about that. But without further ado, no one needs to hear me talk. I'll shoot it over to Jeff to tell us the story, and it's free flowing, guys. Jump in, ask questions. I'll monitor the chat if people want to do that. But Jeff, the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you, Jay. Normally, I would tell the story one way, but since Ed's here monitoring everything I say, I'm going to have to be careful and tell the actual truth of the matter, which is that Ed really was the prime mover of this whole thing. We were sitting at Latitude a couple years ago and drinking, oddly enough, and Ed every once in a while would ask me, is there any void in the marketplace that he could fill rum-wise? Is there anything that we needed as a bar or that I thought people might need in general? And we were talking about maybe doing putting my name on a certain expression, like a Beachbum Berry blend of Jamaican rum or something like that. And I thought, well, that's, excuse me, more or less just kind of an ego trip to have like a barrel of rum and put your name on it. It doesn't really do consumers any good. What would do consumers good, and bartenders and bar owners as well, is to blend a bunch of different rums together into one bottle so they can use it in a way that otherwise they'd have to use 3 different bottles. And the first thing that came to mind was the Zombie. We talked about the Zombie, the Mai Tai, the Navy Grog, and the Zombie was the big one to tackle. And the planets lined up when we were talking about that, because Ed said, well, I have Demerara rum in my portfolio. I have Jamaican rum. We can get something that, approximates the Spanish rum profile of Puerto Rican, which is the third thing that Don the Beachcomber put into the original Zombie mix. So it was all there. I mean, it was all right there under his tent. And eventually we set to work with some blends and Ed sent me some raw distillates, undiluted distillates, some of them up to like 160 proof, 180 proof. It was really, really hard stuff to deal with. And this was it was hard for me because I was new to this whole blending game, and trying to mix really high overproof things together means you have a very short window of time where you can tell the difference between something that's good and something that's just going to knock you on your ass. And it was an interesting process to blend all these things together in a way that would approximate Don's blend without actually being Don's blend. And we'll get into some of the reasons why we didn't want to be Don's blend exactly in a bit. But long story short, I came up with something that I thought was pretty good, and I sent it to Ed, and we just went back and forth. And the next day when your hangover clears up and you try it again, you go, well, it wasn't that great. It's a little too woody. And then Ed would suggest, well, let's do this, let's do that. And he'd come back with a second draft, and then we do a third draft. And it was very much a back and forth thing. And by the way, it was a joy. I don't say that about collaborations very often because I don't collaborate with people, because I've learned over time that with most collaborations, you're stuck with somebody who doesn't know as much as you, or who doesn't have a skill set that brings that much to the table that you don't already have. Maybe it's a marriage of convenience because they have the financial resources to do something, or the connections or whatever, but you're basically left doing all the heavy lifting and doing their job too. And with Ed, it was the ideal collaboration because the ideal collaboration is to collaborate with somebody who knows more than you do and who has a skill set different from yours and on a level of yours. And Ed definitely exceeded all that stuff. I mean, he immediately knew how to fix something. When I did sort of like a half-baked version of a blend, he said, oh, I know how to fix this. And then he did. And we also agreed on all of the talking points of the rum. It couldn't just be a good zombie rum. It couldn't just be a rum that worked well in a zombie cocktail, because I know that when I get a new rum, whatever it is, whatever it's supposed to be for, whether it's for cocktails or not, I'm going to try it straight and see if I like it. And if it doesn't pass that test, if I don't like it when I drink it straight or over ice in the case of 120 proof rum like this, then it's not going to even probably make it into the cocktail it was designed for. So the rum had to fulfill those two things. It had to be good on its own, and it had to be good in the cocktail. And Ed had the skill set to make that happen. It was, I'm really proud of it. I think it turned out really well. The other thing we agreed on was that we couldn't, and this is what I referenced earlier, it couldn't be the exact same thing that Don did with his mix of 1.5 ounces of Jamaican rum, 1.5 ounces of Puerto Rican rum, and 1 ounce of Demerara 51. That's 4 ounces of rum in a drink. Well, if you're pouring 4 ounces out of a bottle into a glass for every cocktail, that bottle is going to disappear pretty soon. And it's not economical. And the gold standard for most bars now is a 2 ounce pour of spirit in a cocktail. Some places 1.5 even. So we designed the rum deliberately so that 2 ounces of this rum would do what 4 ounces of Don's original mix did, with the same flavor profile, but a different ABV, so that the 2 ounces you pour is stronger or as strong or in the same ballpark as the 4 ounces that you would pour ordinarily from 3 different bottles with Don's blend. And that was another thing that we had to make work. And we settled on we bracketed the rum. We had all kinds of different proofs. We had a 97, we had I think we had a 138, we had a 150, we had all these different things. And the 120 proof, or 59 ABV, close enough, really hit the sweet spot. I mean, it really did everything we wanted it to do. If you poured it straight, it didn't blow you away because it wasn't that high ABV. It wasn't that much higher than a lot of good Scotch or bourbon. Sipping Scotch and sipping bourbons are very often 120 proof. So it tasted great on its own. It worked in the drink, and it also was economical in that bar owners or home bartenders would be pouring 2 ounces out per drink. That bottle lasts longer, and you last longer, in as Ed said, in the process. So that's Ed. What did I miss? Wake up, Ed. Is he muted or is he asleep?
He's both. He's not muted anymore.
Okay. Ed, did I miss anything?
Oh, well, we can't hear him.
Okay.
We'll say,
Anyway.
we'll say no, you didn't.
Okay, well, those are the broad strokes. I mean, any questions anybody has, we can talk about the recipe on the bottle, which.
Jeff, before you go away from proof, so the proof is similar if you were to blend the 3 rums. It's just less rum in the glass is really the biggest difference that is coming to the table.
It's in the ballpark. I mean, I think Ed's calculation, and Ed, correct me if I'm wrong, was that the 4 ounces, if you put it through a proof calculator of Don's original mix, would be somewhere around 100 proof of 4 ounces. And so we've got 120 of 2 ounces. But, there's something else to consider here, is that there's less water in the bottle. The higher the ABV, the more concentrated the spirit and the more intense the flavor. So you're getting that flavor with less liquid volume than you would of the 4 ounces at 100. And that was another thing that we were very conscious of.
And we know the types of rums, the Puerto Rican, but in the Jamaican and the Demerara, but that Don used, but you swapped out for a Trinidad, is that right?
Yeah, the Puerto Rican rum, I mean, does anybody here represent any Puerto Rican
No,
rum?
you should feel free to speak freely.
Okay. I mean, it's all, there's nothing really wrong with most of it. It's just that it's not very flavor intensive. And I'm sure everybody on this Zoom has made daiquiris before. And a daiquiri is supposed to be made traditionally with a white Cuban or a white Puerto Rican in the absence of Cuban rum, Spanish style rum. You could use Nicaraguan, you could use Trinidad, you could use Dominican, and it's all made in the same way. It's all molasses based, column distilled, and aged pretty much the same way. So it's sort of a lighter, more floral, drier taste than rums from other islands. Now, having said that, you column distill rum in great quantities and you don't age it because it's a white rum, and you're going to get something that's not that terrific, especially if it's 40 ABV, which is what almost all white daiquiri rums or daiquiri style rums are now. The gold standard, or the white rum standard, back in up until the 1950s was even, Bacardi White was an 89 proof rum.
86 or 89?
89, and it was 86 after that, and then it was 80. But and you go back to the 1920s, 30s, it was like about 90 proof. So that again is more concentrated rum flavor even with an unaged column distilled spirit, because you've got less water and more rum. Now, a 40 ABV white daiquiri rum is just going to taste like anything. And that's why Ed had to do his white stash rum. That's another example of conversations that I had with Ed, and Ed had conversations like that with other bartenders around the country. So, and they all said, we need a daiquiri rum that tastes like rum, so that you can make a true Cuban daiquiri using a Cuban style rum. And that's why he came up with what he did. So to answer your question, the Puerto Rican rum that Don would have used back in 1934 would have been 89 proof. And the Jamaican rum could have been anywhere from 86 to 100, usually 90, I would say, somewhere around 90. And Ed factored that into his calculation for that 108, that basically 100 proof total. Now, if you're using the rums of today, if you're using an 80 proof Puerto Rican and an 80 proof Jamaican, which is pretty much standard, then the ABV is going to be even lower compared to our 60 ABV rum.
Are you or Ed allowed to talk about like what distillery and the age and everything on the three separate rums?
Well, I'm going to
Sure.
throw that one over to Ed, and he could say yay or nay. So I don't want to talk out of turn.
Yeah, so I don't think it's any big secret. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we got you, Ed.
I don't think it's a big secret. I'm using a 3-year-old Trinidad rum for my white stash as the base. When I first got to Trinidad in '93, I was a little surprised that when I went to the Angostura distillery, all the bottles, all the cases, everything said Bacardi all over it. And it turned out that they had contracted with Bacardi, Bacardi as they called it, for all of the production for South America before Bacardi started doing their big job in Brazil. So it was the same style rum as Bacardi out of Puerto Rico. They were distilling it in Trinidad out of molasses. And then they lost that contract, and then they had been bulk rum people and bottlers. And they had this idea that we make all this rum, we must be the best. Well, of course you are. You're the best Little League team until you go to wherever it is, Ohio or Indiana, and get the shit beat out of you. And you go, wow, these guys are good and they're big. We thought we were the king of the mountain. So I had part of my research back in the 90s, I got to taste and profile all these different products. And there was a product from Trinidad, and I wish I knew the name of it. I'd have to look it up in a book, the book I wrote, but it was a 3-year-old Trinidad rum. I've talked to John Georges, their production guy, many times about it. And he goes, no, Ed, we're not going to do it anymore. I said, okay. I'll go away. But when I found out I could buy some of that rum, then I said, okay, here we go. I've got something that I can use in my white stash. And then talking to Jeff, he said, Puerto Rican rum. I said, I don't have any Puerto Rican rum, but I got some pretty good 3-year-old aged rum that will slide right into that slot. But as I recall, and Jeff could correct me on this, at the time we talked about, okay, let's take these 3 rums you're using in your bar, mix them together, and let's put it on the table and taste it. And it's not very impressive. And that's why we said, okay, we're going to raise the ABV. We're going to change the proportions a little bit so we can get something with some character. Because in a lot of these old recipes, the Puerto Rican rum was an alcohol filler. It wasn't there for the flavor. It was there to deliver more alcohol in the.
Well, it was there to, yeah, Ed, you're right, but it was there to cut the flavor. I mean, it was there to, the Jamaican rums of yesteryear.
Were different.
Yeah, and the Jamaican rums of today are totally different. Like they've been, all of the richness and the density and the flavor and the congeners and the esters, all the stuff that makes Jamaican rum great, has slowly over time been bred out by the big distillers because they're chasing the market, and the market wants smooth, quote unquote, and the market wants lower ABV, and the market wants, what it wants. But when Don was mixing with whatever he was mixing with back in the day, that would have been a really bombastic, heavy duty, lead line Jamaican rum. And the Puerto Rican rum served a purpose. It wasn't just filler. It was also a way to cut that heaviness a little bit without violating it by having too much flavor of its own, the Puerto Rican. So it did serve those two purposes. Yes, it did cut that. But ironically, it was probably more expensive than those amazing Jamaican rums he was using back then, which were cheap as dirt for some reason. So yeah, basically, I'm just echoing what you were saying there.
So Jeff, when you were coming up with the flavor profile, were you focusing on a vintage style rum or vintage style rums, that flavor where we have the higher ester maybe in the old Jamaicans? Or were you using newer rum flavor profile to come up with your concoction here?
That's a great question. And the answer is we were definitely going for the old school taste. And I was just at his house last night. Ed and I have a mutual friend, Stephen Remsburg. If you haven't heard of him, he is a retired maritime attorney who lives in New Orleans, luckily for me. And he has the world's largest vintage rum collection, which he started collecting back in the 1970s. And the stuff goes back to the 1890s, 1880s, and he had a lot of stuff from the 1920s, 30s. So you could go to Stephen's house, which we did, and you could have him make you a zombie using the original rums that Don called out in 1934, which was an amazing experience. Steve is the kind of collector who, he doesn't keep everything under wrap and key, in perfect plastic containers. He's a real bon vivant, and if he has more than one bottle, he'll open it up and he'll pour you a shot. So we had the privilege of being able to understand what these rum mixes Don were doing tasted like back then. And they were very different from anything you could do today with products on the market today. Like if you were going to go into Beverage Warehouse or Total Wine and try to take stuff off the shelf and recreate that mix, you couldn't do it. You had to do it the way that Ed and I did it. And we were fortunate enough because Ed has all these, undiluted distillates that he could play with that, was back to the music, back to that really high ester, lots of congenerics, lots of stuff that would disappear by the time it got to market otherwise.
Great, thank you.
So then to finish the other two, the Jamaican component is at Worthy Park, Ed?
Yes. Now I buy from Worthy Park. I've been buying from them for years. I buy a bunch of different things from them. And I also age some of their rum in some of the used St. Lucian barrels that I got years ago at 5 and 20 in upstate New York. And then the Demerara, I buy, I can't even tell you how many, multiple marks from Demerara. And they blend the rum that goes into my Demerara 151 and my 86, but this is some other things thrown in there too, small amounts of it. The old Demerara rums are very expensive, but going through the process, I was lucky to have somebody like Jeff, or have Jeff tell me, oh, this has got too much wood. We need to back off on that a little bit. We need to change this a little bit. I said, okay, let me try that. And I call the distillery 5 and 20, the distillery. They're the blending people, the people that actually do the work for me. And they would come up with things. I can tell you with full honesty, I don't know every percentage of every mark that went into this rum. And that's one of the things I need to get from them before somebody gets hit by a truck someday. But it's written down at 5 and 20. But it was a long process. Like Jeff said, it was 2 years. I don't think I'm underestimating it by saying it was a dozen different samples we tried.
At least, that was more than that. The bottles in my garage now is just still.
Yeah, I'm overflowing with samples of blends that didn't work.
The cool thing is that I could take the stuff that didn't quite work to parties and people would still be really impressed.
Well, I was gonna do that over 4th of July. We had a block party here. The problem is most of this stuff is over 100 proof.
Yeah.
And I really didn't want the neighbors falling down and doing all kinds of stupid things. And we had a keg of 805 beer. So we didn't need a lot of 100 proof rum to go on top of that.
I know some pretty heavy drinkers, so that's not a problem down here.
Yeah, you let us know if you need help. We'll
Okay.
any one of the 47 people on here will gladly.
You can help us out, help us get rid of this stuff. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
no problem, Jeff. No problem.
That catalog is all yours.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I've said it before on your forum. I would love to have a meeting with the Florida Rum Society and bring in 25 or 20 or whatever I can carry different rum blends that didn't make the cut. I mean, there were half a dozen or more than half a dozen just for the Florida Rum Society rum.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead and carry those, Ed, no problem at all.
Yeah. We'll you let us know when you're coming to Florida, Ed, and we'll make that happen. You know that.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Open invitation. You know that.
I'll help facilitate it.
Oh, there you go. Greg
I got access to the warehouse.
Greg knows where we can do it, so we're good.
You got to pass through Virginia, so pick me up on the way and crack some of my bottles too.
Bedroom.
To a hotel, we're gonna need that.
Dimitri and Mary, you guys have your hand raised. I like that. What's up?
Yes, we do. I'm wondering if what Jeff is drinking currently right now, it looks like a zombie, but I could be way off.
It is oddly enough, a Hamilton Beachbum Zombie. Absolutely.
That's
The
what I
only
thought.
problem with these Zooms is I can't just walk off and make another one because it takes me 10 minutes to do it. So I'm just going to have to be reduced to drinking straight zombie rum. Hence,
Nice.
what Ed and I said in the beginning, it has to be drinkable because of situations like this too, Don't want to be antisocial.
Yeah, we started with the old school version, and then we're going to go ahead. I've already have it mixed. I'm going to go shake it here in a minute. We're going to do the new one and compare side to side. So,
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's an interesting experiment.
yeah, after that, we might be out, but hey.
But you'll have learned something. Write
Absolutely.
down your notes because the next morning trust me, I know, I've been there.
Yeah, every time we talk with you, we always learn something, brother.
And I hope will you be with you in London in the Rum Fest in October?
Well, I would love to be. I mean, there's nobody I love more than Ian Burrell, and I've been to the London Rum Fest for years and years and years and years. I think the COVID Delta variant is going to stop that from happening at this point.
We already have, but a number of us already have tickets. They better not.
Really? Oh, you actually have clearance to go there?
Yeah.
Oh, last I heard you couldn't do it.
We bought tickets, and it's so variable, it's changing a lot. So by October, we hope it's all settled down, but
Oh, wow.
we're heading that way.
Yeah,
I would love to do it. I think Ian just assumes that nobody from the States is gonna, but you guys are going. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be great. Always.
wrong.
It's
I
great.
know a group of us that are going again.
Yeah, I have tickets too.
Nice. All right.
We'll see if it
Well,
happens.
the short answer is I haven't, Ian hasn't asked me yet, and he always asks me every year. I just assumed it was because of the whole COVID thing. But Ian also is, he might call me tomorrow. Who knows? He's got so much stuff on his plate. You know? It must be hell for him not to be in an airplane every day of the year also. COVID must have really cramped his style.
Right.
That's all right. I got a little suitcase. We'll bring you with us.
All right.
That's funny.
Awesome.
John, my man, what's going on? You got your hand raised.
Oh, I'm just drinking out of the same glassware that our featured speaker is drinking out of. These are Jeff's.
Good for you,
glasses.
John.
And there are 2 recipes. These are really cool. If you all get to go to the bar and pick these up, this is the 1934 and the 1950 recipes on here on the backs of the glasses. So they're really cool. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. And I really haven't studied the difference, but I actually, this drink tonight, I made up the one that's on the back of the bottle, and it's delicious. It's spot on, because this zombie's my favorite drink. So I'm on this one. But anyway, just mention the two different ones.
Your $20 is in the mail. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So I just wondered about the difference of the 2 zombies. Maybe talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, we could have plugged this rum into the existing 34 zombie recipe and have everything just be fine, but it didn't work out that way. It turned out that the 120 proof blend that we did had so much, not to toot my own conch shell or anything, but it had so much character and so much oomph, if you will, that I had to adjust some of the other ingredients slightly. So there's a little more cinnamon, a little more, mostly just the cinnamon and the grapefruit have been bumped up just a little bit. Very, very minor tweaks. The grenadine, and to be honest with you guys, to be really honest with you, part of the reason the recipe is the way it is because we only had so much room on the label. You know, if I had room to say a teaspoon of grenadine as in the original, full dash of bitters, etc., I would have, but this was the only way to really get everything onto this very small label, which had to have all these warnings and everything else on it.
Ed is a real stickler for the labels. We, on the back of the Florida Rum Society blend, he kept telling us we were being too wordy. So we need to work on bigger labels for Ed.
Jay, the most intense collaboration that we had, the one with the most back and forth, it wasn't the rum.
It's the label.
It was the copy. Yeah, I mean, we had to get the copy right, and it was tough because it was like writing a haiku or something, because there's not a lot of room on that label, but there were certain things that we felt we had to say. That, and fortunately, Ed's a pretty good writer, I must say. He came up with a lot of great lines, which we ended up having to cut because of space, but they're on my website. I stole them from him. So it's in the zombie section on my website.
When I designed the template for this label, I did not know I was going to do another 30 rums or something under the Hamilton label. And I thought it was very nice, small, it would fit. I hated many of the labels. I saw these big, gigantic labels. Nobody's going to read all that. What's the attention span of a rum drinker in a liquor store? Right? The politically incorrect answer is shorter than their dick. But there's only a certain amount of space. And so I've looked at making a bigger label. And then I said, yeah, let's make it succinct. And then now we have things like a QR code. So you can click on a QR code and take you to the rest of the experience.
Right.
But honestly, like Jeff said, the biggest challenge we had was getting the recipe and all that in line with the print. It's a whole process to get the recipe right, get the proofs, then print the labels, and then bottle it or get it blended and get it bottled and all that. And we were coming down to a timeline, and we were trying to launch it, this year as opposed to next year. And so, and then Jeff had the tough job. He had to make multiple zombies with this on multiple days and come up with a recipe that he was willing to live with for a long time. Not to say we can't change it, but we wanted to make it right, and we knew that we only had one chance to screw this up. So, Jeff really took one for the team on that, getting all these things. And there, I couldn't even tell you how many versions of the label we went through to get, let's get the recipe right. And that was always the last thing on everything was, what is the recipe? So I have a question for the group. What other drinks do you make? And what do you think of putting other recipes on the back label? Obviously, this says Zombie Blend on the front, but maybe a Jet Pilot label on the back or some other label, some other recipe on the back. Is that good or bad or just a terrible idea?
I'd say QR code so you're not married to it. You could always mix it up and you could change the QR code based on what you find relevant.
That's a good point.
There's a QR code there.
Oh, is there? I didn't look. I just see the front and they all go in.
If only you had 50 bottles at one point of it.
I think I had 100 at one point.
Yeah, the good news with QR codes is you can change the content where that leads, so you can change the website and you don't have to change the QR code.
You know what? I mean, there's an argument to be made, Ed, that if you changed up both the front and the back and made it like a collector's item, and be honest that it's the same blend, right? You don't have to try to pawn it off as like, now this is the Jet Pilot blend. But if you did a little thing and made it like a collector's series, then people would want to get each different label.
If I may interject, I mean, that is the opposite, Jay. That's a good idea, Jay, but it's the opposite of what we wanted to do with this rum. I know I didn't want it to be a collector's item. I didn't want it to be a short run, limited edition. I wanted it to be something that would still be on the shelves 10 years from now. Another reason why we did the rum the way we did it was so that it wouldn't be a one-trick pony. And so the Zombie isn't the only classic tiki drink recipe you can make with this bottle. I mean, if you go to my website and to the page where the Hamilton rum is, you'll see 5 different recipes that I spec'd out specifically for this rum, including a Jet Pilot and
Ancient Mariner,
Cobra's Fang, and even a Trader Vic drink, his high octane drink, his answer to the Zombie, the Tortuga. I made a recipe to spec to work with that as well. So you can do, I mean, this rum, and of course, that's not even counting all the original drinks that y'all are going to come up with on your own, which I would encourage everybody to do. The last thing we wanted was for this to be not a versatile rum that doesn't have multiple uses. It says Zombie rum because that's the main thing we wanted to do. But as you know, if you're a Don the Beachcomber fan, Don used that rum combination or something like it in several of his drinks. So, it will work in other things as well.
Unfortunately for my liver, Jeff, I discovered going back through all your books, you can probably redo about 50 drinks.
Yeah.
I'm having the Puka Punch.
Well, Jim, you turned me on to the fact I didn't even realize. You put it in a Puka and it worked? That's cool.
Puka Punch, 2 3/4 ounce.
Interesting. Yeah, because Jim, you were also on the Austin Rum Festival Zoom, and you said the Beachbum Zone with it. It's like, holy crap, yeah. No idea. It's just like, so yeah. Sky's the limit, right?
I would say that every drink I've made in the last 2 weeks, I have used this rum in it. And
really?
Yes, and I haven't found one that hasn't worked in yet, because I love the fact, I think it's a really dynamic rum, very full flavored, very rich. And that's one of the things that I really enjoyed when I was at Latitude 29 is I found all of the drinks on the menu to be very, very rich. And more so, like, we did a road trip this summer, and I think we went to 10 or 12 tiki bars around the country on our trip. And the thing that made Latitude 29 stand out versus every other bar we went to was how rich the drinks were. And I really found that, and I've been kind of like noodling on what was that, what caused that to happen. And I figured it could be syrups and, it could be, tweaking the recipes a little bit. But this rum I found is very assertive in a positive way. And I've just been using it in everything and have been having great results. So thank you.
Cheers, Travis. You just made my night. I appreciate that. That's awesome, man. That's just what I want to hear. I love it.
Travis's check is in the mail too.
You got your 20, man.
Oh, I'm getting 20. You told me 15 earlier, so I'll take it. Thank you.
You're getting a tip on that. Yeah.
We want to let you know, we went ahead and we're now on the Beachbum Berry jet pilot, and both of us far superior. This is amazing.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
This zombie it's going to be a staple now at Category 5 for sure.
Category 5. Yes. Love it. Thank you. That's a great name for a bar, but also a scary name if you live in Louisiana.
Oh, we're here in Florida.
Same deal, right? Yeah.
Basically, you come here, it's not if, it's just when somebody's going to get destroyed. So it works out well.
It's just a matter of when, it's not, yeah.
Exactly.
Being Cuban, I used it in a Cuba Libre, and man, it was pretty good.
Oh, fascinating. That's really fascinating because a Cuba Libre really does live or die on how much rum you put into it, because otherwise it just tastes like Coke with a squeeze of lime.
I put a lot of rum in my Cuba Libre. Close to a 50-50 blend. So
now you're talking.
A splash of lime, and I'm pretty happy.
Excellent, Sergio. That's cool. I'm going to do that. I'm going to try that myself.
By the way, Jeff, Daniele from Exotico sends his regards.
Oh, please say aloha to Daniele for me. He's my brother from Italy.
I was just picked up a little bit of his zombie blend and used it with your rum, and it's out of sight, man. It's amazing.
That's awesome. Love that guy.
We have a few hands raised, so I was going to jump to them. But Jim, you had your hand and you took your hand down, so I want to make sure you were good on your question, Jim.
No, we're good. I was just going to ask about the other drinks, and I think we just covered it.
Oh, perfect. All right. I think Jared was next, my friend.
Yeah, while we're talking about, drinks we've been using this for, I don't think it always has to be, something strong over ice. I've used it in a daiquiri variation. The Undead Gentleman cocktail in Smuggler's Cove book is great. If you haven't made that, it's kind of like a stripped down zombie. But Jeff, wanted to see if you could kind of speak to the process for unearthing the 1934, recipe for the zombie. Was that something that you kind of stumbled across in somebody's old notebook, or was there some tinkering involved in unearthing that?
Well, I do a lot of stumbling in general, but in this case, it was very deliberate. I've been looking for the original zombie recipe for about 10 years. I started looking for it in the 90s. And the reason why I became fascinated with it was because every zombie I ever ordered anywhere in the 80s and 90s was the worst fucking drink you've ever had in your life. It was just terrible. And I could not figure out why that drink was so famous and why it was the cosmopolitan of its day and why it generated so much press and so much heat and just put Dawn on the map as a signature drink. It didn't make any sense. Nobody was doing the drink right. Which I eventually found out because the original recipe was a very closely held industrial secret. The last thing Don the Beachcomber wanted was for anybody else to be able to make his signature drink in their bar or their restaurant. So after trying like 100 recipes that had been in print in magazines or books or whatever, they all sucked. And I was just about to give up on it when in 2003 or 4, I got an email from a lady named Jennifer Santiago and her father, Dick Santiago. Jennifer lived in West Virginia. She was a makeup artist in the movies and she'd relocated to Virginia. And she said, I have all my dad's personal effects. He's passed away. He used to be a maitre d' at Don the Beachcombers in the 1930s. And he has all these recipes from then. And would you be interested in that? I was like, would I be interested in that? Yes, because up to that point, no original Don the Beachcomber recipe had surfaced anywhere. He made sure of that. He kept everything secret. And it was verboten to publish anything from his pen. And I got a Xerox copy of the little black recipe notebook that Richard Santiago would carry around with him. And the recipes were in code. So not only were these the first Don the Beachcomber recipes I'd ever seen from the 1930s, previously unknown to anyone, but they were encoded. And the reason why Don put them in code, if you haven't read my books, was he didn't want people stealing his bartender. He didn't want people to pay more money to his bartenders to go work for them and then serve his recipes in their bar, which they did in the beginning. And he put a stop to it by putting his recipes in code. So if Trader J gets hired at Don the Beachcombers as a new hire in 1937, and he does get the recipes because he's finally in a position after maybe 6 months as a bar back or training or whatever to make the drinks, what he's going to get from Don is the coded recipes. He's going to get a recipe that says half an ounce lime, half ounce orange, quarter ounce Don's mix number 2, Don's mix number 4, 2 ounces of rum or whatever. So all well and good. He can make the drinks because in the labels of Don's back bar, there's a bottle that says number 2 and number 4 and number 8 and what have you. Well, Latitude 29 hires Trader J away from Don the Beachcomber so that so that Jay can make these recipes at my bar and we can make the kind of money Don the Beachcomber is making. And Jay gets behind my bar and he goes, where's your bottle of number 2? Where's your bottle of number 4? I can't make these drinks for you. That works really well. That coding worked really well and it stopped the theft of Don's recipes by places around the country. But the end result of this was Don's legacy was nothing because he never printed his recipes, he never wrote a book. Unlike Trader Vic, who had the good sense to write books revealing all of his secret recipes so that people would still be making them correctly, after his death and remembering his name. Don didn't do that. There was no standard zombie recipe as there was a standard Mai Tai recipe should you choose to make it. And so when I get this recipe booklet and it's got a zombie in it, fortunately, there was only one thing that was in code. Everything else was spelled out. The rums were spelled out, lime juice was spelled out, bitters were spelled out, everything was spelled out except for 1/2 ounce of Don's mix. What the hell is that? What's Don's mix? I was like 1 step forward, 5 steps back. I'm never going to be able to make this drink because this one stupid 1/2 ounce. And it took 2 years to figure out what Don's mix was. Another daughter of a deceased bartender, Hank Riddle, who worked at the Palm Springs Don the Beachcomber, gave me a later notebook that he carried around in the 1950s. And he had the recipe for Don's mix. And it was 2 parts grapefruit juice to 1 part Don's spices number 4. It's like, oh, all right, skunked again. I still can't make the drink because what the hell is number 4? A couple of years after that, I meet an 80-year-old bartender named Bob Ismino, who used to work for the Kontiki chain. And I asked him just casually, do you have any idea what Don's spices number 4 might have been? And he goes, well, yeah, it's probably Astra Flavors number 4, which would have been a cinnamon syrup. Just totally offhandedly. It's like, oh, holy crap. So I went home, I finally could make the 1934 original zombie. And that's how we have it today. What was the question? I forgot the question.
You told me the process.
Okay.
It's crazy story. How long did that whole thing take from beginning to end?
From the time I got Dick Santiago's notebook to the time that Bob Ismino told me about cinnamon syrup was about 4 years. So by 2006, 2007. And that was the main impetus for writing Sip and Safari. It was like, oh my God, here I have these uncoded, I can uncode these recipes. I didn't really want to do another book. The books didn't make any money. Nobody cared about them. Tiki wasn't really a thing then, like it is now. Thank God. But yeah, that's what gave me the impetus to do it. And I didn't think there was any big deal. I mean, I was going down this rabbit hole and I was learning this stuff, but I didn't think anybody was interested in it. I didn't even bother in Sip and Safari to tell people how I came to all this stuff. I just gave them the recipe, which is why I kind of had to do the 10-year anniversary edition, which if you don't have, I would recommend getting that over the 2007 because it goes into the history of how all this stuff happened and came to be and cracking the code and all that stuff.
Yeah, we've read the books, Jeff, and we thank you for all your due diligence. It's made our bar a lot better. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers to category 5. Thank you very much.
And the on that note, along with the book, you should also download the Total Tiki app, which I will. Now my $20 will be coming, but I love that app. And someone, I think it was Richard, our friend in New Zealand, our New Zealand member, was wondering in the chat if you're going to add a component of like use Beachbum Berry Hamilton for this drink and this drink and this drink in the app.
Well, thank you, New Zealand. I didn't even think of that, but we should totally do that. There's no reason why we can't do that.
I mean, you could do both add the new recipe that's on the bottle, but then also suggest places to swap it in.
That's brilliant.
And you just have to attribute it to the Florida Rum Society. Trademark coming soon.
You got it. Well, I'll do that instead of sending you a 20 because I don't have that much money.
The app's great because it's constantly being updated. Every time I'm on there, it's downloading new updates.
We try to keep it, try to keep people interested, because there are people who actually burn through all 300 recipes and they're going, what else you got? It's like, well, all right, let me see. Let me dig around,
Well, I hope you do it because I'm in big debt.
Travis,
however much in debt you get, Ed, don't hire your mustache trimmer. That's a very important.
Yeah, don't want to ruin the mustache.
No, it's magnificent.
Ed said he was going to shave the mustache and sell it as an NFT.
I didn't say that, but I'll give you 10%.
I'd probably
$20.
I would like to share something with you all. So right now, this rum has been shipped to, I have the numbers here this morning, 14 different states. 8 of those states have reordered. There's a bunch of back orders, but including the back orders, 45% of the orders for this rum are repeat orders, which is the real proof of a product. Anybody can sell one bottle, but when you can get people to reorder and that kind of, so this is states that have reordered. 8 out of 14 states have reordered. There's 21 states total that are pending label approvals and that kind of thing, where there's orders, but they haven't been entered yet. So this has been an amazing, I don't like to call it a launch. I've never launched a product. I've made it available and then relied on distributors and retailers and all those kind of things. I haven't been out of a product in 7 years for more than a couple of days. And because of label production, shipping snafus, and a few other things, it's a 3-hour drive from the label printer to the distillery, but somehow it's taken 3 days already and the labels aren't there yet. But because of the support of the Florida Rum Society and other projects, I wanted to give you guys an idea that this has really been amazing response to this product. And there is more on its way to Florida.
So how many states is the Florida Rum Society blend in? And
4, maybe 4.
You got to work on that.
Yeah, I've got it in 40, Ed. Come on.
That's true.
Yeah, well,
maybe it works out okay for Brock.
Maybe, yeah. That's fine.
I have to work by a little different rules than Brock does. But, building the online presence is one of the things that's really made this work. And so when Jeff and I were originally talking about this, we thought that it was going to go into consumers' home bars, because there's a lot of consumer tiki home bars. And what I'm finding is there's a lot of tiki bars that are also saying, you mean I can make a good zombie and not have to go through all this other stuff? So they're making their own blends of some of the other ingredients, the the ingredients that use a dash of this and that. But, working with the guy that wrote the book was the way to go. My hat's off to Jeff. I don't even wear a hat. I gave him my hat a long time ago.
Well, I know that I'm going to turn it over to our next question from Travis, but he posted in the society that he mixed up the drops into one little dasher bottle so that he could easily use it. And then now he's doing it with like 10 different drinks. So go ahead, Travis.
Oh yeah, that's exact. Here's I've been calling it my magic dasher. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
And this has got the three, the Ango and the Pernod and the Grenadine from the back of the bottle. And I've been, I've been using it like very liberally, and it's great. It's a nice little blend. I like it. I just wanted to tag on to the conversation we were having earlier about all the drinks that I've been using the blend in, and I forgot to mention something important, which was that the other day we were at the amazing Tropics cocktail bar. I think they might be on. They were earlier out in Cocoa Beach. And I noticed they had a bottle of the Zombie Blend on the shelf. And I ordered a Mai Tai there. And now Greg's saying something about being sold out, but anyway.
And Lisa made this drink.
Oh yeah, I know. And this was Lisa there at Tropics. And I ordered a Mai Tai, and at the moment they were out of their Mai Tai Rum Blend. And so she said, what do you want? And I said, you know what, let's do this. So, and I realized you guys could throw tomatoes at me and stuff. I said, let's make the Mai Tai with the Zombie Blend. Oh. And she said, let's do it. And let me tell you, it was excellent. So.
Oh man, that's awesome. You get a 50, man.
And money from Tropics too.
Oh yeah, I got 20 coming from Tropics too, and 15 from Lisa. So.
You got it going on, yeah.
Well, it's a whole enterprise, I'm an influencer.
Love it, John. I think John was next.
Yeah, well, I had a question. So, okay, I get 20 more, right, Jeff? I'm on this, right?
Man, I'm emptying out my 401k, but yes, yeah, you do.
Yeah, I like your falernum, and a lot of people, I just want to make sure that they don't understand this is the syrup, not the liqueur. And so when you say falernum, a lot of people think of the liqueur. So be careful when you're doing this. And so I do happen to have my Latitude 29 very handy.
Hey.
All right, John, now Barry's out of money. Next person, please.
Well, John, I'm really glad you brought that up, actually, because that's something that that's a conversation I have a lot. And I've got, Richard Seale's a really good friend of mine, and Velvet Falernum, of course, is his product. And all through Europe, that's the only thing they get is like the alcoholic falernum. They don't get any of the pure falernum syrups that we can have in the States. But the fact of the matter is that the falernum that was used by Don Beach and by all of his imitators all through the mid-20th century was a non-alcoholic syrup. And the gold standard was the A.V. Stansfeld syrup, which the Sazerac company put out. And that was up until like the 1980s, I guess, when that disappeared. But that's what I tested all of these recipes on as I started to find them. And I found that using a falernum liqueur was a whole different animal. The density was different. The flavor was different. You basically had to use twice as much so if you have a drink that calls for a 1/4 ounce falernum, and all you've got is the Velvet or Bitter Truth or another liqueur falernum, which has any ABV to it, it's going to be, you're going to have to double it. Instead of a 1/4 ounce, you have to use a 1/2 ounce just to get any flavor in there so that it cuts through everything else. And to me, a syrup is definitely the way to go. And if you if you can't afford the postage for Latitude 29 falernum, which my God is just insane, I'm the first person to agree with you on that. Fee Brothers, which has pretty good national distribution, Fee Brothers falernum is pretty close. The only problem is if you are a stickler and you don't want high fructose corn syrup in your drink, then you're out of luck. But if that doesn't bother you, if that doesn't offend you, then definitely go with Fee Brothers, which is the next best thing to the Latitude 29.
Okay. Yeah, just I found yours to be the perfect for this drink.
Thank you.
This worked very well. And that I just want to make everybody aware that this is not the alcoholic falernum.
Right.
And I will give a warning though, Fee Brothers Orgeat, do not use that. Sorry. Sorry.
Well, you happen to have a Latitude 29 origin. I'm just saying.
I do have that too. I do. That's another $20. I think I'm up to like 60 now, right?
Man, I owe you. I'm just going to give you my house at this.
We should get, can we get a few cases and put it in the FRS shop and sell it with the, we'll sell it with the blend and it'll be a whole
That's a great,
deal.
that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Really,
You know what? You know who's going to love this idea is Adam Colasar, Tiki Adam in Brooklyn, who makes the stuff for us. He makes the falernum and he makes the orgeat, and it's his baby. He would totally be all over it. You know, I'll hook you guys up because he would definitely do that for you.
It's worth
problem.
it.
Yeah.
Missy and Joe, let's make a run to New Orleans. You haven't been there in a week.
It has been a minute, so we're ready.
Hey,
let's go. We're ready too.
I want in on that trip. Come on.
You're welcome too, brother.
I just want a back rub during a Zoom call. Jeez.
What happens at my age? At my age, Brock, you have to have this. Trust me. The alcohol only does so much.
So at category 5, you get back rubs with your drinks. Is that part of the perks of coming there?
Come on down. We have a nice girl for you too, Jeff.
Yeah.
Well,
not all
this
the
is
endings
that.
are destruction. Some are happy endings.
On that note, I think Kevin was our next hand with a question all the way from Northern California there.
Hey guys, looking forward to trying the rum. It's finally here in California. I had a bunch of people ask me about the label cap that's at the top. Some of them are blue, like the ones I'm seeing here, but I'm seeing other people seeing that it's brown, and people were curious about that. So I thought I'd ask Ed.
Oh, it's another Ed thing.
Mm-hmm. That's an Ed question.
Yep. I don't know how many. I could look it up. I don't care. They screwed up. And
They screwed up.
Yeah. After they did a few, they called me and said, "Hey, Ed, we put the wrong capsule on them. Oh, we'll take them all off and redo them." And I said, "Hell no, don't worry about that. Nobody will notice except you." And nobody knows what
I noticed. It was El Nova, actually.
Yeah, the color that you have is what's going to be used on my single cast strength collection that's coming in a few months.
I took my bottles back to Brock after I realized the caps were different.
So
the
that was
burgundy box. The burgundy caps are not the correct caps, right?
Well, that was a collector item. You shouldn't have taken the cap off.
The brown is the incorrect, and the blue is what it should be.
That's what I thought. Like I was
Nice.
messaging with Ultimate Tiki today. I was like, "Hey, is this the correct cup? Like, why is there 2 different cups I'm seeing online? I'm thinking someone's selling bootleg Hamilton rums."
The real question that we always joke Ed about is how many Florida Rum Society blends do we have to sell to get a teal cap that matches the label, so that they blend together, like the blue that matches the blue of the Hamilton of the Jeff Berry.
I believe
Yeah,
that's
we still want that.
I believe that's 10 pallets, right, Ed? That was 10
Oh
pallets.
God, 10 pallets is only 560 cases.
You've sold 10 pallets.
We're there.
I think he wants like 6,000.
So
we want blue.
Ed is moving the goalposts.
I actually ordered capsules today. The minimum order for a color right now with the capsule people I'm dealing with is actually quite low. It's only 21,000 capsules.
All right, we'll talk.
So I go to other, and I've got I don't know, 8 or so different capsule colors. When I say, okay, this is bullshit, I'm going to go to another supplier. I go to another supplier and they go, "Ed, yeah, we've seen your rum." Of course they haven't, but they say, "We've seen your rum. We love your capsule business. The minimum is 50,000. That's 4,000 cases. And I don't sell 4,000 cases of any rum in my whole portfolio in a year. Now, maybe the Zombie Blend will challenge that, but it's incredible how many capsules I have at 5 and 20 that are collecting dust because you have to buy a whole bunch of them. I just hope that, well, I know that I won't run out of them for the brown capsule that was on some of the bottles. I'm going to look it up and find out how many of those were actually bottled that way.
Collector's items.
But you shouldn't have opened those bottles. You should have saved them. They're going to be worth a lot of money someday.
I didn't get one, so it's okay. I got the blue one.
Unopened only, they're worth money.
Give me a plastic bottle. Just give me the plastic bottle. I'm all about the rum. It's what's in the bottle, not the bottle. I can care less. Come on, let's get real.
Well,
Yeah,
you know, John,
300%.
one of the best Jamaican rums ever that the Maikai used for like 40 years was a Dagger 8-year, and it came in a handle that was made out of plastic. I've got one, you know, on display. So to your point, yeah, it's just but you know, that I got to throw something out to you all because you're all rum experts, and we got Ed here too. Does plastic matter? Does plastic inform the taste at all? Does it eventually, do the molecules do something, or I don't know, I'm just asking.
Depends on the volume of alcohol in it that it might interact with it potentially.
Okay, so there is a possibility that plastic might be worse than glass.
And I know nothing about science, but isn't there a heat element to it? Like
Yes.
and so being in Florida specifically.
Yeah, there's a little heat in Florida sometimes. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, you're right on the topic. Heat does change the molecular structure of a plastic or synthetic.
Okay.
I don't know why I haven't tasted the difference in the rums, but when it comes to like mixers, when it's in a can or when it's in a glass, I feel like it's a different taste. I don't know why. I feel like the metal can makes it taste somewhat different, or the glass or something. Like I just feel like I always get a difference there.
I totally agree with you about a can. Yeah. And then Ed would always insist on having glass tasters, like taster glasses, like no plastic, you know, little things, because that makes a difference. I do think there is a difference. I just, because I failed chemistry in high school, I just don't know what it is, you know. So
funny. I like it.
I got a taste of some of that Dagger at the Maikai, probably 30, 40 years old, and it tasted just fine.
And then that was in a plastic handle, right?
So is it a 1 Dagger or 3 Dagger? I've seen there's a couple different ones. I've never tasted them.
It was the punch, the Dagger punch.
That was there was an 8 Dagger too, right? There was like a 1, 3, and an 8.
Yeah.
I've only seen the 1 and the 3.
I've got a bottle of the 1 Dagger, but but I've not opened it, and I'm not about to. No. It's the 1 Dagger punch, and it's sitting in my vault. No.
The Greg, I think you had your hand raised. Did we hit your question?
Yeah, kind of, but I'll tell a quick little story. So I was sitting down with Ed, what was that, a couple of years ago, pre-COVID. He was at the bar, and we were talking about rums and drinks, and I said, hey, Ed, let me make you a Mai Tai. He goes, nope, I'll only drink Jeff's Mai Tai. He's the only person that will let him make Mai Tai. And I said, let me make you a Mai Tai. So I went back there and I got a bottle of Jamaican Pot Still Gold, and I had the Duquesne, put it together, and Ed tasted it. And he goes, you know what? This is pretty good, but my secret ingredient.
Yeah. Damn it! I'm gonna be broke by the end of the night. You're 20.
Nothing broke, but it was a crowning achievement that Ed's like, I like your Mai Tai. This one stands up. So to see both of you in between.
That's funny. I like that story, Greg. That's funny. Jamay, you had a question.
So my question was about the labeling. So my question's answered.
Awesome. Well, Ed just said 44 cases, so 528 bottles with the brown capsule. That's a lot. I don't know. That's a collector's item.
I'll take one.
Hey, Jeff, I'd like to ask one quick question before I have to take off. I understand there's a Navy grog blend in the horizon or on the horizon. Is that something we can look forward to?
Absolutely, man. We've already nailed it. It's all locked. The mix is locked. The label's locked. It's just a matter of getting the distillates in bulk together to make it happen. It's going to happen before the end of the year, as far as I know. Ed might have an update on that, but definitely before the end of the year, we'll see the Navy Grog Blend as well. And thank you for asking. Jesus Christ, another 20. That's a rum that also has multiple uses, and there's going to be like 5 or 6 different recipes that will accompany it in addition to the Navy Grog. So
Are we allowed to talk about what blend makes that up?
sure. I mean, Don's original, I don't have the fact sheet in front of me because we were just supposed to talk about zombies, but if memory serves, and it rarely does, I'll do the best I can. Don's original mix was equal parts of a Demerara, which would have been about 86 proof. Dark Jamaican, God knows what that was. It could be anything from like 80 to 90 to 100 proof, and a white Puerto Rican. And again, as Ed mentioned, the white Puerto Rican would have just been to cut the intensity of flavor of the other ones to sort of like mellow it out a little bit. And I don't think I'm telling tales out of school. Ed, just shout out if I am, but we realized eventually, after going through about 5 or 6 different drafts of this rum, that the white Puerto Rican was just throwing everything off. It's like, we don't need it. It's just like, so it's mostly, it's several different versions of Jamaican rum, several different expressions of Jamaican rum, several different expressions of Demerara. And if memory serves, we don't really have a whole lot of the white Spanish style. We may have none at all. But it does do what it's supposed to do, which is create a 1-bottle blend so that you can make a Navy Grog.
It's great to hear these sentiments because that's kind of how I've practiced in my bar all the time. When it asks for that Spanish style rum or Cuban rum, Puerto Rican rum, I just skip it. And it's never bothered me at all. It's just like, that's volume. I can make up that volume and it's stuff I like.
It's really funny, Brock, and it's interesting. And I'm glad to hear you second this, but I found this trying to recreate a lot of Don's drinks. It's like back in the day, maybe that Puerto Rican white rum was useful because of the intensity of the other rums that he was using, but those rums aren't that intense anymore. So you almost don't even need to cut them because they're not what they were.
Jeff, it was to save money in the long run. I mean, the volume of rum you put in drinks, right?
Yeah, that's a good point, Jim. I think it really comes down to almost like a general manager's input saying, do we really need to use all of this expensive heavy duty rum? Can we just cut it with some of this really cheap Puerto Rican rum?
But Jeff, to me, the art was in the back bar. And these bartenders would, they would figure out, okay, so rum blends changed over the years. I mean, every time, you talk about these high proof stuff, you get a case of something and that may be it. I mean, it could come from distilleries back in those days. You talk about the different proofs and the different, mixes and things that they were working with. But I think they were artists. They figured out what the profile was. They figured out the balance for a drink. And so those things were always, it was like shifting sand.
Yeah,
that's what's really cool. And so that makes it even tougher because over the years, those blends and those distilleries would change up what they were doing. Like you said, you found something sitting around an old distillery and maybe Don bought it up. And then once it was gone, that was it. There was no more of it. So It made it really tough. And I get that.
And John, what you're saying applies equally back then to today. I mean, from the time we opened Latitude in 2014 to now, I have seen rum expressions change their character to the point where I can't use them anymore.
Yeah.
I have to find something else to work with it. One of the things that's happening, which I don't think happened back then, which we have to account for when we're trying to recreate these old rum blends, is people are adding sugar to their rums, or they're adding flavors to their rums. And I'm not going to name names, but I know which distilleries they are, and we don't carry that stuff at Latitude. It's just like, it's hard enough to get a decent rum blend now with the way that everybody is sort of like cutting back on flavor, cutting back on density, cutting back on ABV. And then if you add sugar or like, artificial flavors to it, it's like, how are we supposed to deal with that? Right. And I have you know, the biggest problem for me was when we did our rum list at Latitude, our sipping rum list. John, to your point, when we opened, I thought, okay, I'm going to have a highly curated sipping rum list. I don't want to have 400, 500 rums on our list for people to choose from, because that's playing roulette, you know, with customers' money. I expect the customers to think that we're doing some work for them. So I'm going to choose what I think the best Martinique agricole rum is. Instead of having 10 of them or 20 of them, this is the one I think is the best one. You know, maybe 2 or 3. This is what I think is the best Jamaican. This is what I think is the best, you know, Antigua or Barbados or whatever. So we tried to keep our rum cellar list down to 30 rums. And the frustrating thing was, as a business person, we would laminate that menu at a cost of about $2.50 per menu. And we had 60 seats, so that's 60 times $2.50. And every damn month, somebody would change their rum formula, or it would disappear and be replaced by something crappy, you know, or something good would happen that would be better than what I had. And at a certain point, it was like, I almost welcomed COVID because we couldn't do laminated menus anymore that nobody could touch, you know, because that rum list was driving me crazy. You know, now the QR code may be the way to go, so we can just change it constantly and update it without having to, you know, print it and laminate it and all that.
Well, and that's where we'll circle back, because, and I've fallen in love with these Trinidad rums for that very reason. I found them to be unique, and, you know, I'm also getting the point that, okay, I've got a lot, I have a lot of rum. Trust me, I have a lot. And when a bottle's gone, it's gone. And I'm going to say, you know, it was beautiful, and that's it. You can't replace it. It's not going to be repeated. And so we just have to kind of move on. And I've been in Latitude 29, and God bless you all, had some Samarolis on the back bar, and I got right in there.
I'll bet you did. Yeah.
I trust me. I appreciate what you're doing.
Well, the Samarolis and a few other expressions are there for people like y'all, you know, and it's like, I'm really glad to hear that feedback, you know, that we're not wasting our time, that it actually does work, you know.
Yeah.
John, go take your 20 bottles and go hide in the corner.
Oh, shut up, Dimitri. You've been up in here, Mike. That's the problem. You've been here. That's the problem. Dimitri and Mary have been here so many times drinking my swill. It's sad.
But only the good stuff, John, which is about all 1,700 bottles.
I know.
I wanted to point out that Ultimate Mai Tai Kevin did call out in the chat that currently the Latitude 29 Mai Tai is the #1 Ultimate Mai Tai in the world. So $20 to Kevin too. Man.
No, Kevin gets everything, man. Kevin gets one child. Kevin gets, if I ever do get a boat or a new car, Kevin gets that. Yeah, that is the coolest thing, because I've been following Kevin's website for like, how, 20 years? Like, when did you start, Kevin? Like
98.
Before websites existed.
Yeah, I've been following you since basically 98. And to have that listed as #1 on your site, to me, is like, I can retire now and rest on my laurels, man. That means a lot. It means a lot to me. Let me put it that way. It means a whole lot. Yeah.
And then Darren also pointed out that you should package the more marketing ideas. You should package the cone, your Jeff Berry cone, which I'm sure a bunch of us have, with the newly coming out Navy Grog rum.
Good God! I should be paying you guys.
You'll probably have to put Florida Rum Society's stamp on it now, but that's fine.
I should be paying you guys consultancy fee. That's genius.
That's why you have us.
To sell the cone with the, oh my God. You guys might be keeping me from living on the street in a few years. That's awesome, man.
Or I object.
But rum nerds.
Buy 3 rums, get a free cone.
No, that's great. That's genius. That really is. Cheers to y'all.
So
you need the cone.
So you guys have no idea how difficult it is to tell a distributor that nice 12-pack that you used to be buying from me is no longer that size. Now it's got these cones that people want packaged with the bottles. And the retailers go, get that shit out of here.
Ed, you're sort of like, you're missing the point here. It's like the Florida Rum Society will do that for you, right?
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll go back to drinking.
Wait,
You're
what's,
welcome, Ed.
what's this cone that Angela has to pack with every 3 bottles of rum?
Have you never seen the cone, Brock?
No, show me the cone.
I'll
Give me a
get
picture
the
of that.
cone. I'll get the cone while Greg asks his question.
Hey, wait, can I jump in for 1 second? I want to tie in 2 things. One, Jeff was talking about, obviously we're all into rums that are unsugared. And then I think it was mentioned earlier about Ed's single barrels that are coming out.
Mhm.
And that all kinds of stems from, I went to Ed and I was, when I finally got to try like each of the 3 distilleries from the Demerara Distilling for the first time, I was just so disappointed in what they put out. They put out an 80 proof rum, and I was telling Ed exactly what I wanted and how I was going to go about it. And Ed was like, yeah, you can do that, but I can do it for you cheaper. And that's kind of how some of this started. And then, so what we're going to get, let me see that count. Oh, I see it. Nice. So what we're going to get out of this is Ed bought a lot more barrels, and he's going to send us samples, and we're going to get to choose the best of each of the 3 distilleries in Guyana. And Florida Rum Society was going to have some really incredible barrels of each Enmore, Versailles, and Port Moran. So that's coming here in the next few months.
That makes me really happy to hear, because Demerara rum straight off the still is amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. But then they just don't stop there. They just fuck it up, you know. And I'm not going to mention any names. You all know who they are. But to get pure rum from the Morant still, from all these other coffee stills and everything, it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And Europe can get it. Europe has had it for years. We've never had it. We've never gotten these high proof Demerara expressions from the Morant still, from the various others. The names escape me right now. You all know who they, you know, some of you might know who they are, but it's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant spirits. And to be able to get them at proof, I mean, I think most of them that I tried in Europe were around 110, you know, there were 98. There was no 80 proof. There's no 40 ABV out of those stills. It was all sort of like higher proof, and they were just brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah.
So there's actually 4 of them, if I can talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Do you have other questions about the zombie blend, Jay?
We always have questions, but we're going to let you talk about your blend, because that's exciting too.
Well, we can talk. We can do this on another time. But
no, Jeff's fine. He can take a drink break.
Yeah. Well, no. The thing is, here's the thing. When I was teaching a tiki bartending course in Ibiza, of all places, in 2010, 2011, and this it was sponsored by a company called Maison du Whiskey in Paris, and the guy who was running the school said, "What do you need?" And I said, "I need a Demerara rum so I can make a zombie and a Navy grog and all these other things for the students." So we ended up getting these things from the Enmore still, from the Port Morant still, from a couple of other stills that I can't remember, that Ed will probably tell us about. And they were amazing 10, 12, 20-year aged things at higher proof. And I was thinking, we can't mix this shit. This is too amazing. And we had no choice. We had to mix it because that was the only Demerara rum we had. And it was like one of the best weeks of my life. I don't know. So there's Port Morant, there's Enmore, and then the other 2 distillers, the other 2 stills. Versailles. Okay. Yeah. So you guys go because I don't remember from there. Like,
what's the 4th, Ed?
So the entry level, and this isn't their, so they've got 5 stills that they're currently operating. The Versailles, the Saval still, Saval's a very famous French still maker. They've got a multi-column Saval still that's stainless steel on the outside, copper on the inside, all the plates and the condenser are copper. It's not as good as nice as a copper, but a multi-column copper still is just unaffordable these days. Nobody can operate them. Copper deteriorates, it falls apart, the maintenance is horrible. So I've got some of that. I was looking through my notes. I wish I could tell you real quickly. I've got a 7-year-old from that. And I think
These are all coming to Florida or coming to the country? Well, what's the release looking like?
Ed bought a whole container.
I
So
bought
it's not
35
everything.
barrels,
Perfect.
35 different barrels. So I've got 7 times 4, no, 8 times 4. I've got 8 different groups. So one of the groups is a Saval multi-column 7-year-old. And I think there's 5 barrels of that. I could be wrong. Some of these I got 5 barrels, some I got 4 barrels. But anyway, Saval multi-column 7-year-old. And then I've got Enmore, which is the wooden coffee still. But before I talk about that, the Versailles is a single wooden pot still. And that one is known, you know, it's famous. I've got some rums from there. And then an Enmore, which is the double wooden pot still. And then the Port Morant, which is the double wooden pot still from Guyana. These are the only wooden pot stills and column stills in the world that are operating today. The last one to operate was in Trinidad at Caroni, and I got lucky enough to see that in its last days of operation. And when I was there in the early 90s, the guys said, oh yeah, we got a wooden pot still or wooden column still back here, or a coffee still. You want to see it? We're going to tear it up soon. It's got some leaks. It's got some problems. I said, sure, I want to see it. I didn't have a camera. I couldn't take pictures of it. I really wish I had. So it's a Saval. I've got Saval, the Enmore, which is the wooden still, coffee still. Versailles, which is a wooden pot still, single wooden pot still, and then the Port Morant is a double wooden pot still. And then rums from Jamaica, from Clarendon, and it looks like it's an 8 and a 12-year-old. That doesn't sound right. 10-year-old, 10-year-old, 8 and 10-year-old from Jamaica. That's a pot still, copper pot still. And then I've got some blend from Richard Seal. So Richard's got a column still and a pot still, and he blends them together and then ages them. And those are just 10 years old.
Yeah, we tried the 13-year on that, and it was just way over oaked.
Right, which is one of the considerations on all these things. I was talking to a potential new distributor a couple of days ago, and he said, you know, can you Ed Hamilton, get barrels? Because we've got huge success buying barrels and selling it to our high-end liquor stores and stuff. And I said, well, you shouldn't buy every barrel you can get your hands on because many of them are over oaked and this and that. And the guy said, really? You've tasted over oaked barrels? And I go, yeah. And he goes, but can you do this? And I said, well, I'm going to sound arrogant, but I'm Ed Hamilton. I can do this. But I own the company, and I'm not going to buy it unless I want it. So don't expect me, if we become distributor and supplier partners, to just buy whatever your customer wants. That your customer wants a 15-year-old rum from Foursquare, because if I don't like it, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to put my money up on it, and I'm not going to put my reputation on it, because like this zombie blend, and Jeff knows this, you're only as good as the last drink you served behind your bar. So that's what's coming. The labels have been done. Well, haven't been printed. I'm proofing them literally as I sit here and march through things like this. I will be adding them to another label run of Zombie Blend next week. Hopefully next week, I'll be printing the labels on them, and then we'll go from there. I did get a UPS certificate or email today saying your boxes are on their way. It's 3 cases, 112 pounds. That's got to be 3 cases of rum coming to me. That's the samples. Everything takes a while at 5 and 20 to get done, but I'd rather them bottle the Zombie Blend and other things that we're selling than worry about new projects. But as soon as they're bottled, I'll let you know. And Brock will get first pick on this. He's been pushing me to do this. I will say, I have to just throw this out there. In order to make this happen, I had to pay for this back in December of last year. And here we are in July, and hopefully by September, it'll all happen. But anyway, that's the next project that I'm working on. And while I'm sitting here in California, I'm still working. I just got an email back from the label people, lovely label people. And they said regarding box count, looks like the new minimum is 7,200. So it went up from 6,720 a box to 7,200. It's always something. And the price went up 5%.
I'm very disappointed in you. It sounds like you're multitasking. Like the very idea of Ed even tasking. So
I don't even sleep, Jeff. I don't even sleep. But if I took the time off and did all the other things that everybody thinks I'm doing, I wouldn't get more rum blended and bottled. And so, you know, it's.
Well, you're taking a hit for the rest of us then. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Power to you.
But, you know, our job is to make this look easy. Jeff makes it look easy at the bar, right? Has anybody here actually seen Jeff make a drink at the bar?
No.
We've had a drink, but I've never seen him make one.
I'm going to tell y'all something. My bar staff won't let me behind the bar. I'm too old and too slow. I'm just going to gum up the works, man.
There you go.
The best I can do for people is I can put a straw in the drink before I serve it to them. That's as far as it goes.
Little spring of mint in there and a straw, and you're good to go.
I'll put some garnish in there. I've been known to do that, but they're not letting me behind that bar during service hours. No way.
Awesome. Greg, you had your hand raised like an hour ago. Did you have something else? No, I just didn't take it down from before. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I so much appreciate Jeff and Ed hanging out with us. They have Ed, as always, you know, in the middle of his work day, so he's got to do email. You know, we appreciate him calling in from California, even though it's still work time. But Jeff, it's been a true honor and a pleasure having you and talking about the blend. We're excited about everything that's coming up. So I know that we'll be waiting with bated breath, and we'll probably invite you back if you haven't had a really horrible time. We can do the same thing with Navy Grog.
Jay, the pleasure was mine. I'll come back anytime. Y'all are awesome. And I'm going to go now and just drink myself into a stupor because I just learned that Ed Hamilton multitasks. That's can't handle it, cannot handle it. But yeah, no, I'm happy to talk to y'all anytime. I love you guys and girls.
And at some point we'll do
when's the Florida rum? There's a Florida rum show like in what, February or
so Miami
Rum Congress.
Miami Rum Congress is on the books for February. We actually, for those that don't know, you can save, what is it? I don't even know, 10%, 15%, 20%. If you're a Florida Rum Society member, Greg, do that again. It was 20%. So I haven't posted that in a while, but I'll post it if anyone's interested in going, because it was one of those last events, Jeff. That's actually, we met in person when the Florida Rum Society had about.
That's where we met. I love that event, and I'm you know, barring the Delta force and all that, I'm going to be there in February. So look forward to seeing y'all.
For sure. I know a lot of us have already registered, but shout out to the Miami Rum Congress.
We definitely need to set up a Florida Rum Society happy hour like on the night leading into it.
Oh, totally.
There's we're
and Jeff can bartend.
We are working.
Easy for you to say, Ed.
I want to drink at some point. I mean, if he's gonna be slow, we don't want that.
If you want me to bartend, forget about getting a drink. It's not going to happen.
That's right. That's where I met you last year, Jeff. Well, the year before, they had the party, the after party and stuff like that at Exotico.
That's right. Yeah, that's where I met you. Yeah,
We
yeah.
had that rum dinner, which was freaking amazing. It was really good
Yeah.
stuff with the guys from Don Cu.
That was awesome. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Exotico is like, that's the mothership, man. That's great. Love that.
No.
Hey, Jeff, a number of us are working behind the scenes here. We're going to come up, it looks like, starting in September, Labor Day area to come visit you at Latitude. We're hoping you're going to be there.
Hey, shoot me beachbumberry.com has a contact email address. Shoot me an email and I will do my level best to meet you all there. With COVID, I'm not traveling as much as I used to, so the odds are pretty good.
Well, we hope you don't have COVID. That's good. So we'll come by your house anyway.
You know, the only thing that's going to get, I'm all vaxxed and everything. The only thing that's going to get me, if it does, is the Delta. So I'm taking my precautions, you know.
Brother, we all drink enough. Believe me, the alcohol's going to kill it. We're safe.
I was going to say
it's a preservative, right? Yeah, it's going to preserve us. Absolutely.
The zombie blend will kill anything.
Absolutely. So we're finding out. Look at my wife's face right now behind me. She is bombed on 2 drinks.
And she's looking good. Everybody's happy. Rum makes people happy. That's why we do it. Absolutely.
Makes the world go around. Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's exactly right. And on the heels of what Brock said, we are already in talks with at Miami Rum Congress to have an exclusive Florida Rum Society event there. And of course, Ed, if you come, and Jeff, if you're there, we would be honored to have you involved. And Jeff
Count
can
me in, man.
Jeff can put the
Absolutely. Wouldn't miss
on
it.
drinks.
Wouldn't miss it.
So I can bring all these bottles of shitty rum that didn't make the blend?
Yeah, we'll try those
sir.
too. We'll gladly try them and tell you if we like them or not. And maybe there's another blend.
If we do this, I can save a lot of money on postage stamps and just give you your 20s while we're there. You know,
we're talking about so many.
Can we make it an even 100? Can we make it even 100?
You can with that. Yeah, man. Come on.
We're checking all the boxes.
Hey, Jay.
Yes,
are
sir.
those is Rum Congress tickets already on sale?
They are. They are.
Okay.
Sure.
Yep.
Are you gonna post the discount code? Because I didn't know they were on sale already.
I posted a while ago, but I'll repost it because it's been a while.
Okay,
And,
cool.
I'll try to post it either tonight or tomorrow so that you guys can do it. But yeah, we work
that
with-
last time I went, I didn't know what the hell to expect. I don't know how the hell I got home, and I got to Uber it this time. It was a mess.
Yeah. Hotel.
On that note, Jay, make sure to post the hotel discount code as well. Because they're
Oh,
actually
yeah.
having it at the Hilton this time, so we don't have to try to cross the highway.
Correct.
Yeah, I live close to there, so I can just Uber it. Actually, I'm like about probably 3 miles away from there, but I just didn't know what the hell to expect, and it got me by surprise because they gave me like one of the passes, you know, to because I was at the event at the Saltico. They're like, "Oh, here, go by," and man, wow, forget it.
Yeah, the hotel room links are live too.
Yep, it's all there. So I'll post it in the group so that we can get the FRS discount. I think it's like FRS 20, but I'll verify and post it. But we look forward, and thank you, Jeff, and special guest Ed for joining us again. We'll do this again for the next rum, and Ed will continue to be the most visited Florida Rum Society special guest. So we love it.
As he should be.
As he should be.
Absolutely. Love seeing you guys. Every time it's a joy for sure.
Cheers.
Thank you all.
Cheers, y'all.
Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Guys,
Thank you.
bye.
Stay
Bye-bye,
dry.
all.
Always.
John, call me.
Are we hanging out for a while?
Well, hey, John, we're all talking about Missy and Joe and us going to New Orleans to visit Jeff in end of September or end of August, starting September for Mary's birthday. You
Okay.
good? You want to go?
Possibly, because I'm heading to London on the 28th of September.
Well, we're all heading to London. We're going to London with you, remember?
I know.
Dimitri,
Yeah.
when is it?
We're talking, it's Mary's birthday, which is almost Labor Day, I think. She's August
the
30th.
1st of September. Yeah, that would be cool. I still have your cigar cutter, by the way.
Yeah, and yeah. Oh, we're gonna have a talk. You got a lot of stuff of mine, but we'll go over that later. Don't worry about it, brother.
Hopefully everybody knows that the hookah luau is happening as well there in Pompano.
We've already talked to Mr. Richard Onsunger today or yesterday, and we're okay with a room party.
Yep, I'm on it. I'm booked, but
I think we're gonna do 151 swizzles, but after tonight we might do a zombie because those were
this stuff rocks.
incredible.
Yeah, it rocks.
Oh, I'll tell you that the Jeff's version was absolutely killer.
And I'm drinking these
both of us
zombies.
preferred this. And if you look over here,
I can tell you though, that zombie, this blend will work really well in Jet Pilot, and I think it'll work really well in Black Magic too. I was going to ask,
isn't a Jet Pilot just a zombie without grenadine?
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
And I think it'll work well in the Black Magic. That is the Maikai's recipe too. I was going to ask, Jim Hayward before he got off here, but anyway, he got off. But yeah, so hookah luau is happening, and the links go live tomorrow for those that did not roll over a pass. So anybody who wants to get a hotel room, it's going to be in Pompano at the Beachcomber Resort. It looks really nice. So it's happening. Is everybody there?
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah, we're excited to see what it says tomorrow. It's just one more event in September, which is gonna be
I know. I knew this was going to happen. You know,
I mean, it's one of those things like we put most of our chips behind Tiki Fever. We have a room party at Tiki Fever. We're, for us, we're gonna try to make it, but that's
Jenna will make her wings for everybody.
Guess what? I'm going to be in California. I'm going to San Francisco for the Rum Fest in California Rum Fest. I fly back. I get back at Dark 30 on the 14th. I turn around and leave the next morning to come down to hookah luau. It's going to be crazy.
You better show up because you're the one that told us we had to show up. So
I've got tickets. I'm booked. I'm coming.
Like I said, we're gonna have a room party, and if the right group shows up, we've already talked. I talked to Richard and everybody else. We're gonna have a cigar fest as well. So
cigar fest.
I may have to lay on my back and let you pour the rum in my mouth, but I'll be there.
Till then, Dimitri, am I just gonna keep the cutter and the lighter till then? Is that what it is?
Well, every time you go to Grog Grotto, you never stop by here. We're 5 minutes away from there. It really hurts my feeling.
Yeah, but Grog Grotto.
That was Monday.
We live right next.
Oh, and Jenna, you look awesome. Your pics have been I've enjoyed seeing your pics, girl. You look great.
Yeah.
I haven't been doing much actually. This day job's killing me.
Well,
she has a new job.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, you look really nice.
Thank you.
and Jamie, you and I, we were supposed to do our rum tasting, buddy. We haven't done it. Unmute. Unmute.
Man is talking on mute. That's okay.
Yeah, sorry. So yes, John. Just today I remember I was like, man, we gotta.
I've been busy. I've been busy too, so it's cool.
Yeah, we gotta schedule it.
I know. We swapped 15s. The Canadian for the Appleton 15, so we're going to compare them and do a tasting together.
Have you seen the 15 in your area? I've seen the new 15s pop up down here.
You know what? I just ordered a bottle out of state because God knows when Virginia will get it. I could be a mummy before the stuff.
Where are you finding it in South Florida?
I saw it at Primo yesterday. And another friend of mine, Danny, he said he found it too. I don't know if it's Total Wine he found it at, but I did see it at Primo yesterday.
All right.
But I got all mine from Jamaica.
So I have your bottle right here.
Where are you living, Jamie, if I may ask?
I'm in Miramar.
Where?
Miramar. It's like
California?
20 minutes outside of Miramar in Florida. It's like 20 minutes outside of Fort Lauderdale.
Just say Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale.
Miramar was Top Gun, if you remember, in San Diego area.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just outside of Fort Lauderdale area.
Good. We'll see you for hookah luau, I hope.
Yeah, definitely. Any event that pops up, I'll be there.
We're taking off, guys. Just wanted to say night.
Yep, I need to head out too.
The next time.
So good to see you
Everybody
guys.
have a great week and enjoy your weekend. Party safely, everybody.
Anybody going to Sarasota? We'll see you tomorrow, Saturday.
I know somebody is picking me up a mug. I already got, Jason said he's gonna pick up a mug for me, so I think I'm covered.
Very cool.
We're going to Flagler Beach, so everybody's good.
Text me if not, John. Just let me know.
I will do it, sir. Yeah, Jason said he's gonna pick up a mug for me, so hopefully I'm good to go.
Get a second one for John just in case.
You're awful.
Yeah, but if this way the other guy doesn't come up, at least you get one.
Well, I think Travis actually wanted one too.
There you go. So if you get a second one, you get Travis for cost.
We're good. I'll post it up, but yeah, we're good.
These are my helmets and collections.
Appreciate it.
Here and here. I
Right.
really like
Good
the
to see everybody.
New Zealand.
I like the 151.
Good to see you.
Take care, everybody.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you later.
Good to see everybody. I gotta go. Really amazing session, Jay. Amazing.
Hey,
Amazing.
thank you for joining from across the world. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, well, we started at 11 a.m., so it was pretty good.
Perfect. You can't argue with that.
Off to lunch now. All right. See you guys.
Hey, but before Sarah Pope gets off, where are you in Georgia? Can she hear me? She says she's in a bar in Georgia. It's like our friend Rick, who joins from Max's every week.
No, we're in Atlanta.
Sarah, where are you?
We're in Atlanta. We're in our tiki bar.
What tiki bar?
It's my house.
Oh, your house tiki bar. I see. Perfect. Well, thank you for joining from over the border. We appreciate it.
We're trying to get the rum, but we didn't get it.
Perfect. And we're glad you're loving the FRS blend. So we're happy to get it to our neighbors up there and everything. So appreciate you guys.
We're a little drunk now.
Hey, then you're doing it right. Awesome. Twigs, are you ever coming home?
Yeah, I did my race this past weekend, and so I got through that just fine. But there's another 100. Thank you. There's another 100-miler next weekend, and I promised to stick around to help a friend through that one.
All right.
So I may actually. I was looking at the map. I may actually stop at the Beach Bums bar on the way back to. Yeah, I've been there before. I stopped there on the way out here last year, but that was, or maybe it was. Yeah, I think it was maybe it was 2 years ago. I don't know when it was.
I mean, now you have an invitation to email them, so I feel
Yeah.
like it's worth it.
Yeah, you bet. So, but I will be. I'll be back. Next week's the grander one, right?
Yes.
Cool. I've got my bottle of it out here, and so I'll still be here next week, but I should be home by about 2 weeks from today. I'll be home.
Perfect.
I'm ready. I love these mountains, but I'm getting ready to get back to some humidity.
And your bar. I miss my rum in my bar when I'm away. Is that there's no, that's not wrong. But remember, I brought a lot with me. I brought a whole lot of rum with me. It's not like I could package I bring a box of rum, but it's like a little bit of allspice and a little bit of Falernum and a little bit of it's like a painting. Right.
I brought that too. No, I did the same thing. I brought a little bit of the allspice, a little bit of Falernum, a little bit of a lot of things, and a full bottle of Orgeat. And I even bought, because Black Tot Day is coming up, I brought a little bit of that
Our
50
special
blend.
order that took forever.
Exactly. Are we going to try to put together another special order now that they're doing a new blend?
We're going to get it in Florida. I'm on top of it this time.
Thank you.
We're gonna get it in Florida. I'm making sure Brock gets some and whatnot, so we'll be.
We
good.
don't have to order it from the UK this time.
Right. Try to order it from somewhere else, and then have to order it from the UK.
Exactly. But no, I'll be home soon, and then look forward to seeing you guys. I'll try to get down to. Gosh, Rum Congress is forever away, but
we're gonna try to. I mean, I can only do what I can do for non-Orlando people, but I live in Orlando, so selfishly. But we're gonna try to do and maybe we'll see, Jermaine, maybe you and John Gullah can organize something down south, like a casual. No. I mean, we like the rum sponsors because they're great, right? They bring rum, but it's like there's an agenda. So it's almost like a casual meetup at somewhere, maybe strong water, because they have a great rum selection sometime soon. So as soon as I get that organized, it'll be low key. Whoever can come. But I know you get down to Disney a lot, Twigs. So maybe
I do. And now that Trader Sam's is open again, I definitely need to get back down there.
Yeah.
So
Of course I'll post it in the group, but I feel like just a open house from 5 till whenever, right? Come on by, say hi to your Florida Rum Society friends.
Love it. Love it.
Buy Jay a drink, and it's great. That's a good outline, right?
It's a good outline. You do good work for us, Jay. Thank you for all you do.
I'm not looking for thanks. I do it because I love it, and I love you guys. But on that note, I have to go bring the trash out. So, but
See you
I'm
guys.
gonna take off. So thank you guys for joining, hanging out afterwards. I appreciate you. And so a lot of us are going to talk next week. So I can't wait for that too.
Great.
See ya.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Have a good night.